Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. The first review and reaction for the Andor series has been published online. We've known now for a handful of days that press and a few very lucky individuals got access to the first 4 episodes of the highly anticipated Andor series. And even though the series is not due to release until the back end of September, an early reaction to the series made its way online. Let's dive into it. A Reset Era user called Ramala took to the forum to give their brief thoughts on the first 4 episodes. In the past, the same user shared their reactions to Miss Marvel and the Netflix series The Sandman, and so this is what they had to say about Andor. I've seen the first 4, and it's the most serious, grounded thing Star Wars has ever done. It feels more like an English-made espionage thriller than Star Wars. It is totally unconcerned with giving you fan service moments, and instead wants to delve into what it's like for the big players in this universe to wake up every morning and go about their day. This is not space opera, it's more space drama. It's slow, deliberate, complex, and asks the viewer to do some work. It actually humanizes roles that are traditionally cartoon evil in the Star Wars universe. It's attempting to tell a grown-up story, and I think a lot of fans are going to hate it. And notice the word hate with 4 A's. Both Gilroy's presence is all over this thing. It's got that cinema vibe that the core Bourne movies had going for them, puts you in the world like never before. Whether the world can hold up to that level of scrutiny is up for debate, but it is fascinating. So a really interesting take, and while it's got the tropes of what you might expect from a political thriller, from the sounds of things, there is a lot of unexpected. And one thing that stands out in this review is how the show is divisive. They say some fans are going to hate it. The user also added in response to a comment that they believe a 3-episode premiere, which is what we're getting, was very much needed because the first 3 episodes serve as one story arc, kind of like one big movie. And further on in the thread, they say that in Andor, the heroes act like villains and villains act like heroes. There's a certain degree of humanity added to the Empire, something we've really not seen before, so the show gives both sides of the story while also telling us that people are people and not everyone in the Empire is bad, and similarly, not all rebels are good. So clearly a very unique and fresh take on this conflict. Now, on the subject of the characters themselves, the user referred to the titular character as the least interesting. They say Andor is the least interesting when compared to Mon Mothma, Stellan Skarsgård's Luthen Rael, and some new characters as well that they would not mention by name. Now, the only reason they're saying Andor is the least interesting of these characters is because his character development is a slow burn. There's a long way to go in this series for him to develop into who he is by the time of Rogue One. It's not going to happen straight away, but Ramala does say that Luthen and Mon Mothma are the stars of this show, at least in the first 4 episodes. And one final comment that they add is that there is a much more interesting characterization going on the Imperial side of things. They say, quote, "And let me tell you, it is fascinating to me. I kind of wish we got a whole show about that." And it goes back to Tony Gilroy's comments about the ISB, the different factions of the Empire that we're going to see close up. If you remember, Diego Luna even added, we're going to see them brushing their teeth, close up and personal, what they're like as individuals, and not just cogs of the Imperial machine. Now, while Disney and Lucasfilm have been silent on Andor's exact plot points, there are a few that have been established. The series is going to highlight Mon Mothma, the Galactic Senate, the story of Andor himself of course, and also the struggles of small groups of rebels. Fans should expect the series to be noticeably dark in tone, very dark in fact, even darker than Rogue One. The 2016 movie hinted that Cassian and other rebels did questionable things during the formation of the Alliance. Andor is undoubtedly going to explore some of those, and as to the question of if rebels can be seen as villains in their own story, the answer according to this reviewer is an absolute 100% yes. In Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan may have said that only Sith deal in absolutes, but that's simply not true. Outside of the elitist view of Force users, morality is a very grey area, and that's going to be true of many people on both sides of the equation in this show. And in that sense, I'm kind of really happy that this reviewer is saying there is not much fan service, nothing to distract us from the nitty-gritty elements that make up this series. It's trying to show us that for everyday people, everyday rebels, and also to some extent Imperials, life is very rarely filled with simple decisions. Sure, the Emperor is evil, but that doesn't mean every individual in the Empire is, and the same goes for the Rebellion. Despite their good intentions, they have the likes of Saw Gerrera and other rebels who make fundamentally dark decisions. People under pressure, navigating this galaxy at a very uncertain and dark time. And from the sounds of things, we really need to value what this story is trying to tell us, giving us very out of left field context to the Star Wars galaxy that we thought we knew, but as Tony Gilroy says, throw all of that out. This show is starting starting from scratch. The users' comments are fascinating and yet totally unsurprising. Given what's been going around, the comments from the actors in the press tour, it's all kind of what we expect, a show that does not rely on fan service, that's giving us something brand new. As with all new shows that try to do something different, that bring a much more political edge than recent series, there will be people who fundamentally do not like it. That is what Ramallah is saying here. More reviews are likely to drop over the next few days, and I will keep you updated. But I do appreciate that this one is detailed and gives us a much better picture of what to expect. But what do you guys make of this? Do these comments give you more confidence in the series, maybe less confidence, and how do you feel going into it? Now that we've had the final trailer, some comments from Fiona Shaw, Diego Luna and Tony Gilroy, and now this first reaction. Let me know in the comments. Moving on to something very different, Gwendoline Christie, who played Captain Phasma in the sequels, wants to return to Star Wars. The First Order villain may have fallen into a fiery pit in The Last Jedi, but that's not stopped Gwendoline Christie dreaming of returning to the galaxy far, far away. She expressed enthusiasm over the current state of Star Wars, saying, quote, that she would love for her chrome-domed character to make a comeback. Speaking with Empire magazine, Christie acknowledged there could be more to explore with the character outside of her appearances in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Phasma has made a couple of appearances elsewhere in the galaxy and even had her own comic run, and there's even a book with her backstory by Delilah Dawson, citing the fact that in Star Wars no one's ever really gone, and if you don't see the body, there is always a chance the character can still be alive. Christie thinks that could be the case with Phasma. Now chances are we won't see Phasma again in Star Wars. After all, Lucasfilm seem adamant to move away from the Skywalker saga and their characters in the upcoming movies, and unless she makes an appearance earlier in the timeline, maybe in Favreau and Filoni's Mandoverse as seeds of the First Order manifest, there isn't too much else for her to appear in, at least in live action. And she'd only be an infant during the time of the Mandalorian, so very unlikely. And given that Phasma got her own novel and comic run, that seems to be a good indicator in recent times of Star Wars characters not returning to live action, just like how they're playing out the rest of Kira's story in the comics. And so with that said, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of today's Star Wars news update. If you enjoyed this one, guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, share your thoughts down below, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one. I'm pleased to announce that my new merch store is live. I've brought back popular designs and items like my Mando shirts, mega mugs, jibber jabber tees, and so much more. You can find the link to it in the description down below. Thank you.